But real quick,
Yeah.
then I'll cue the music to cue us in.
Checking over weather real quick.
Oh, I had to hit start on.
Hey, real quick, Brian.
Yep.
Would you have started Russell Wilson over Trevor Lawrence last week?
Who were the Jacksonville playing last week?
They were at home to Atlanta.
It would have been close. It would have been real close.
So I can't remember exactly what you said, but I remember you saying something when I said I was going to start Russell Wilson over Trevor Lawrence. And if you'd started Trevor Lawrence over Russell Wilson last week, you would have lost my match.
Fair enough.
So yeah, a little bit of skill.
A little bit. Just a little bit. There's that saying, though, about the squirrel and the nut and it being blind. And
Oh, I was going to say luck over skill. There's that saying. It's a little more apt than the blind squirrel.
let's do this. Wait, I got to hit the record button.
All right. No weather to worry about.
It's hot everywhere.
Yep. It's nice, clear. And sunny.
No, it was not nice. We were out at the soccer game yesterday.
Stop it, you guys.
Sweating my ass off at fucking 11.
Let me hit the
Huh?
go button. And then you guys some bullshit. Ready?
Ready?
Welcome back, everybody, to
Football
week
day.
5.
Good morning, everybody.
We are remoting Ken in. He's in San Francisco getting ready to watch that San Francisco Cowboys game. Hell yeah.
Must be nice.
We didn't
You know,
let
I was thinking about it, and I don't think it gets any better in sports right now. When the Cowboys and the 49ers are both good and they're playing each other, it's better than Red Sox Yankees.
Something to look forward to. What's the time slot on that game? Is that our afternoon game or
No, it's prime time, baby.
prime time? Beautiful. Yeah, I guess expect nothing less for that matchup.
Oh,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, I think a little bit of the luster came off when the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, but that was really just like their final preseason game. So that's the way I'm looking at that game. That wasn't a real game.
So why don't we just get right into your minute?
Yeah, they got right back on track last week. And my boy Deron Bland had 2 interceptions, including returning one to the house. They look awesome again. And anytime you come out of the game and the opposing team is questioning whether or not they have the right quarterback and coach, especially when that coach has been to what has he been to 9 Super Bowls, something like that. It's a pretty good week.
Yeah, I can see how you're flying high there. And go ahead.
And the last thing I was going to say is the thing I'm looking forward to today is Brandon Cooks. This is why they got him. It was this match right here.
Okay, so this is the day for him.
Yeah.
All right, spicy tidbit there. Yeah, we don't need to talk about the Steelers long.
We do.
That was so depressing.
You know what?
I will say that I am, as much as I'm, down on my team a little bit right now. I was super impressed with Houston, and have been all year. Houston and Arizona, to me, are the 2 surprises of this year. And, if you haven't started gathering little pieces of those teams for cheap, you should have. And you need to be doing it now if you can do it on the cheap, because those look like offenses that can sustain for this year. And nobody expected that. So those pieces are cheap.
Going forward, they, like I said, in Dynasty, they look like they've done a really good job in picking up young talent.
Right.
You've got
Well, they've
Michael
had all
Wilson,
these, draft picks. About time
Yeah.
they do something with them.
Well, I mean, the Texans have been building for a while. I liked them last year. And they were just basically a quarterback away from being good, because now you see they've got a competent rookie quarterback. So imagine if he was in his 2nd or 3rd year, where they'd be. But they look great, especially in those uniforms. It's hard to not like what they're doing when they're wearing those uniforms, playing that way.
But to talk about the Steelers, we're going to move on to this week, and we're playing the Ravens this week. Always a game, you know what I mean? If you're not familiar with Ravens Steelers, like this, somebody's going to get hurt. I guarantee it.
I thought you
and
were going to.
Both teams are going to get beat up, and they're going to have rough weeks next week. Mike Tomlin, the way he coaches this team, the way I honestly expect us to go out there and win today. I don't know how, the way we're playing and everything else, but I think we gut out a divisional tough win. Say again?
Yeah, we've seen this too many times where you just like this. It's similar to Bill Belichick and the Patriots. It's just like right when you think you've got them down, they do something that makes you question your everything you think about them. And it's just because they've got that stability at the top. So I'm with you. Like I don't know how they're going to do it, but I do expect them to win today.
Yeah. Thank you. What do you think about your Rams today, man? I'm excited about them.
So
they look good.
One of the things I noticed.
That's the third team we should have thrown them in with Arizona and in Houston. The Rams look great.
Totally agree.
I'm excited to see Cooper Kupp come back. I'm a little nervous to see what happens with Nakua only because he's on my fantasy. So we'll see what happens there. One of the things I've noticed about Sean McVay, two things. That one, they kind of put the foot off their gas too soon all the time. And it's not just the Rams, it's other teams too. I feel like, and here we're going into the theories part of our podcast. I think that these teams really shouldn't put their foot off the gas until the fourth quarter, and only if they're up by 3 scores. If you're not up by 3 scores, don't
even then. I think it should be like Mike McDaniels did to Denver. Just keep putting it on them.
You put it on them. I'm saying if you're going to do it, you know what I mean?
The modern day NFL, like 21 points is like nothing until you get down. Like your team's down 20 and you're still paying attention to the game like they can come back all the way until like 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
There you go.
And at that point, if they're not moving the ball and threatening to score, then that's when you're starting to check out. But that's where we're at now, like how fast teams can score, how fast they can turn around, how talented they are. So I would just
not
keep scoring.
Picking them up.
If I figure out a way that I'm beating a team.
We're not hearing you on the podcast, Ken.
Huh?
We're hearing you live. We're not picking you up. So let me see. Count to 10 real quick.
1, 2, 3.
Okay,
4,
so
5.
the live version's picking you up. Our recorded broadcast is not. Let me a second. This is kind of aggravating because I don't know why that is right off the top of my head. Let me think here.
While you're doing that, Brian, I thought you were going to push back when I said when I said what I said about the 49ers and Cowboys getting together and play, because the Steelers are playing the Ravens today, and if there's another one in the NFL, that's probably what it is.
Well, dude, yeah, but this is we're second building today. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize that. So does the NFL. So does the network, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'll just pull the audio off of YouTube later, and then I'll upload that, and that's how we'll tackle that. Okay, so second thing, so I might as well just stop recording this, and free up the space on my PC. Second thing is Sean McVay's not really good with time management. Have you noticed that? Like they're always calling timeout for a play, just you know what I mean, for like a regular play.
Random play, like he burns time. Like I wouldn't say that he's necessarily bad with clock management. I would say that he's just very quick to use his timeouts and like he's not necessarily like expecting to be able to use them later in every game. He wants to make sure that his offense is on schedule. It's I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Like if you don't have timeouts at the end of the game, you can't misuse them.
Yeah, that's true. And I've always been like, well, if the play becomes productive, then I'm all right with it. Okay, you use the timeout for a productive play, but it is something that I've noticed.
For me, I'm only ever really trying to save one. Like the first two can be used however we feel like, if we're going to challenge a play, or if we're going to make sure that we don't get a 5-yard penalty or something like that to stay on schedule. That's fine. Because you're a quarterback, an NFL quarterback should be able to guide an offense with one timeout and like 60 seconds, You can't expect them all to be Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and score in 30 seconds with no timeouts, but one timeout in a minute, you should be able to do that now.
Yeah.
So,
probably
with
not.
that, should we get to the games?
Okay. Yeah, I have more to say about the Rams, but we can wait till the.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, I want to talk about the
Okay,
Rams.
yeah, let's go for it. Go for it.
No, let's wait for we can wait. Like the game's coming up, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Let's do our let's talk about where we're at in picks.
Oh, you want to do that right now? We can do that right now. All right, let's take a look here. Let me see.
Yeah, before we get into picking them again.
Okay, so let's see where we're at.
All right, the Bills are on the board.
Who's it
to?
Diggs, yeah.
Let me move this over here so I can read it better to everybody.
Dude, I got offered in that same league where I traded Garrett Wilson and got Diggs and the pick swap.
Mm-hmm.
That guy also wants me to take Devontae Adams.
Interesting.
Huh?
Okay, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I just give him his first round pick back for Devontae Adams.
Right.
I'm really happy. But I mean, if it almost is like too good to be true. Like I'm gonna have Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and Devontae Adams this year. That's insane. And my running backs are Pollard, Walker, and Achane.
Seems good.
And I just traded for Andrews in that league. Oh, I didn't tell you that. I traded Kyle Pitts for Andrews. Kyle Pitts and a second for Andrews.
Is this a competitive league or?
I mean, we all pay. So yeah, I'd say yeah.
Fair enough.
There are some good players in the league.
No, as long as it's a pay league, then dude, good on you. Well done.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, my team looks really, really good. And with the draft picks just blooming, it's exploded. But anyway,
So,
are you up, Ray? Ready
yeah,
to go?
my computer lagged there for a second, but it is up and ready now. So, number one for the pro picks right now is Leo Sells from Gridiron Experts at 46 correct picks.
Really, that's interesting.
Yeah. Can you
How many
guess?
do I have?
46. Ken has 46. He's right up there with the leading expert right now. After that is Sporting News, Bill and Bender at 43, and I have 45 correct picks. So,
Wow.
Yeah, Ray's killing.
You guys are
I'm right
killing
up
it
there.
this year, man.
Brian, you have 39 and 32. So who's in between 39 and 45 here? We got John Breach from CBS Sports, Jaron Dublin from CBS Sports, Mike Florio from NBC Sports. They all have 42. And then the 41s are Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, Mike Clay from ESPN. And then we're going to 40s with Tyler Sullivan, CBS Sports, Jason Reed with ESPN, Doug Burrell from Gridiron Sports. And then at 39, tied with Brian, CBS Sports, James Eisenberg, Pete Prisco, Matt Bowen from Matt Bowen from ESPN. FanDuel has 39 correct picks. And here are the experts that Brian is currently beating. Dallas Morning News is Tim Cowshaw.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
He's beating DraftKings. He's beating Eric Moody's ESPN. He's beating CBS Sports Ryan Wilson, CBS Sports Will Brinson, and ESPN Sports Seth Wickersham. I'm not sure if any of these other folks are worth mentioning, but you're also beating Yahoo Sports as well.
Hey,
Well, hey, beating anybody after my week one, I'm proud of that. I've come back a little bit, but man, you two are on fire. That's the story, man. You guys are doing good.
Oh,
yeah,
thank
I'm really happy with those results. Fucking
yeah,
A.
and on the ones that I mean, not to be like centered on me, but the ones that I missed, we should talk about that Tampa Bay New Orleans game.
I almost picked them. I almost picked Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay is legit. I mean, they look good. Baker looks good. Baker looks really good. He looks like he's in control of his offense.
Another thing too
is that
is
a fourth team for the surprise list?
Yeah, I think they're the one that you probably we're not talking about because they're not doing it with rookies. So there aren't fresh faces to juice it up and talk about.
Well, and I'll be the first to admit that Mike Evans surprises the heck out of me, man.
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield being a little scrappy, I kind of suspected that might be the case, but like I went into the season thinking Evans was washed or close to it. You know what I mean? I had no interest in him, and now I'm like, oh wow, Oops.
Yeah.
Oopsie-doo.
Yeah, right. We kind of missed that one.
Yeah.
Definitely misjudged that one because I was out on them too. And if I was going to pick one of the two, it was going to be Godwin, not
Me too. Yeah. Whoops.
So
First game up is New York Giants versus the Miami Dolphins. New York Giants is at plus 13, 47.5 is the over-under. Plus 550 for the money line. If you're betting on the Dolphins, it's minus 800. Saquon Barkley is questionable. He's reporting getting closer, but still not ready.
he practiced all week. I'd be really surprised if he doesn't play today.
Well, he limited practice all week, right? And what time is this game?
But he was last week too.
This is the morning games.
He was a game time
Okay.
decision.
Well,
last week.
I'm really glad we're going to find out. But if I was going to bet on it, I'd say he's out. I think this was a high ankle sprain. I think he misses one more game. And this is coming from somebody who really needs him this week in one of my leagues. But yeah, I've got him on the bench, and I don't expect him to play. But I am going to be watching that 9 o'clock window here to see what the injury report says, and I'm very anxious. And I will put him in instantly if he is going to play.
Yeah, he's all they have on offense.
That's it. Which is honestly why I think they're going to make. If that's my team asset, like I'm not putting him out there, early. I'm giving him a little bit of time. And I think the high ankle sprain is a big deal for these guys.
You know what? I can see where you're coming from on that. But if I'm the Giants, like I'm the guy running the Giants team, I want him out there because he's a 26-year-old running back, not a 22-year-old running back. You protect Breece Hall, but a 26-year-old running back, you need him out there so that he can help your team grow because they need him. They need him to take pressure off of some of these younger players so that they can grow.
I agree.
So they can have an opportunity to succeed because right now you look at it and that's what's missing is that there's nobody worried about Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield. So they're able to just double Darren Waller and single up these other guys, and none of these other guys are good enough to win in single coverage. And even if they are, Daniel Jones isn't finding them.
Well, and that's the thing is, so this week maybe I sacrifice the win this week to Miami, which we're a long shot anyway. Even if we've got a 60% Barkley, and then we get Barkley back next week.
I don't think they should expect to win the game even if Barkley plays. I'm just
that's
saying,
what I'm saying.
You got Saquon Barkley on a 1-year deal. He's probably not coming back next year. They're not going to tag him again.
So, are you saying give up on this season already?
I'm not saying give up on the season. That's exactly the opposite of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that's interesting because it's like as a Cowboys fan, I want to say they should give up on the season, because they're terrible. But no, what I'm saying is they need Barkley out there so that this season actually is worth something because they're paying him the money.
Exactly.
And if you're so get your money's worth. Get him out there.
Get him out there next week when you can get him at a higher percentage. This week you're playing Miami and you're getting crushed.
And I disagree. I don't think Saquon Barkley is I don't think an intelligent organizer is looking at Saquon Barkley and going, this is the piece that I'm going to build my Super Bowl team around. But they can use him to help, advance their other offensive pieces like Jalen Hyatt. Or like the younger running backs they've got behind him, like Brightwell and Eric Gray, who hasn't even seen the field this year. So he's probably not that good.
I'm just saying he's the key this year, and so they need to protect him. Like if they're going for a playoff run, they need to protect him as an asset. If they're just playing out the season and getting these kids ready, you're right. Get Barkley out there, man. Go
even
play.
Even if they're going on a playoff run, they can't afford to lose again. If that's what you're saying, because if they lose again, they're coming back at 1-4, and now you're going to bring in.
If they weren't playing one of the top teams,
run, huh?
They're playing Miami though. They're playing. You know what I mean? We just said that even with Barkley, they're not going to win.
We don't expect them to win.
Yeah, but I guess who knows?
But I don't think that's necessarily because Miami is a great team. I think we've seen enough from Miami that they can be beaten.
Of course.
And not even that they can be beaten like they're some kind of juggernaut, but they can be beaten by just about anybody because they make enough mistakes. Yeah, so you and I think it seems like disagree on what to do with Saquon Barkley there, but that's what I would do if I were the person running that team. I would want my 26-year-old stud running back out there, helping the team grow. rather than being worried about a possible playoff run, which I don't see happening for them this year.
Might have to put it right on your head.
You trying to get light on his face?
Yeah.
If Brian, if you sit farther back towards the wall, and then use that other light that's normally pointed towards me, and just sit farther back. Actually,
Might have to.
No, not that way. Not that way. Towards the wall.
That's what I'm saying.
He's saying going that way.
But then I can't see anything. You know what I mean? I can't.
That's cool. We'll figure it
can't
out.
extend it.
I'll read the next game and I'll do it. All right.
No.
So,
Nope.
Nick,
Slide back the other way to the right, to your right. There you go. A little more.
I'll fix it right here. Does me read this next game? I'll get this next game rolling, and while you guys are talking about it.
Hey, we gotta get the lighting correct. All right.
So, who you guys got then? Everybody going Dolphins?
Oh yeah.
For
I don't
sure.
think it's close. You know, what we didn't talk about for the Dolphins is they traded for Chase Claypool this week.
Yeah.
and while-
What'd they get? 6-7 pick swap.
It was a pick up like 2 years from now. I don't even think it was next year.
And we got a number 32 overall for that guy. I
Yeah.
am so happy.
You know what? And that was one of my favorite things that people were talking about in fantasy football this week was using that trade as a reason why trades shouldn't be vetoed
Right.
in fantasy football.
There he is.
Because
I was like wondering when Bezos was going to throw
because
his.
every other team saw this trade happen, and nobody complained to the NFL.
Right.
So if the rest of the NFL can allow the Steelers to get a first-round draft pick for Chase Claypool, if there's no collusion, let the trade go.
Yep. You're allowed to be dumb.
Yeah, people are allowed to be dumb. Just don't invite them back next year.
Yeah. One player I just want to bring up on the Giants side is Wan'Dale Robinson. Just in case, just throw him out there.
Yeah.
He's getting some more targets. He's getting healthy.
He's
If
gonna be in all
that
of
trend
our-
increases, he could be good.
Okay, next
Well,
up.
he's definitely the fastest of their 100 slot receivers. So, and Daniel Jones has no time to get rid of the ball. So you can just expect him to have like 8 to 10 targets and somewhere around 40 yards. Maybe he'll score.
There you go.
So next up we have Carolina Panthers versus Detroit Lions. Panthers are at plus 9.5. Over/unders at 43.5. The money line is at plus 370 if you're betting on the Panthers, and if you're betting on the Lions, minus 485. Right now you have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's doubtful, and you have Amon-Ra, who is also doubtful, both for Detroit.
Hugely important.
Based on how these teams are playing right now, the chalk pick is just to take Detroit. They look great. They look fantastic. They're going to have, obviously David Montgomery, who scored 3 touchdowns last week. But I wonder if this is going to be a situation like how the Cowboys had a couple weeks ago with the Cardinals, where they just, they sit one too many guys. And the NFL is just like, it's really so close in talent that, 1 or 2 players and 1 or 2 plays per game can shift what actually happens in the game. So I'm like trying to find the steel underpants I need to wear to pick the Panthers in this game. I really want to, because I kind of feel like the Lions are going out there without any weapons. They're going to go out there and just like, all right, we're going to send David Montgomery at you 35 times this week. And the Panthers are really beat up though. So I have a hard time being like, oh, that's not going to work.
And the Panthers' strength is their run game, and Detroit's strength is their run
line.
stop.
Yeah,
It's
line.
all the matchup points towards Detroit, but you're right; those weapons are important. In the
So
end,
who
I
was
feel
first?
like it probably just gets the Panthers a little closer, but I still got to take the Lions. I think.
I do too, but so who are we starting, Brian? Who's popping up in this game with the injuries?
Well, those were the 2 major injuries there. Miles Sanders is still nursing that groin, but he's been playing and he's going to play again. But the bad news there is that he is running into that D line of Detroit, which has proven to be very good. So Miles Sanders is one of those. If he starts this week, but if you got him, you probably have to put him in your flex.
Are you picking up Chuba Hubbard if you're a Miles Sanders owner?
Just in case, but I'm not real worried about Chuba. In my opinion, Chuba's shown what he is over the last few years.
No, we don't think that he's anything special. What I'm
Not
saying
at
is,
all.
are you worried that like this injury gets to a point where they shut him down for a while?
It seems like he's getting better each week and not worse. Now, if he re-aggravates it, then of course, and he is a decent stash to have if you are the Sanders owner, but it's not a must. It's not a must because Chuba has proven that he's just kind of okay, in my opinion.
Okay, and on the Detroit side, with no ARSB and no Gibbs, Laporte to the moon, right?
Right. We've got Williams coming back for the first time. What did they say? 20 snaps is what they're expecting him to get. So I don't think that's a thing at all.
I don't either. I think I'm more interested in the guys like Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond.
Right. And you know you have to have your steel underpants on to play those guys.
Reynolds, I'm not so
but
sure.
one of them's going to do well, I figure. But which one? And how well?
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I think Khalif Raymond is going to get those ARSB looks. So I would rather play him today than play Josh Reynolds, like in DFS.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd have if I could do it in my redraft leagues or something like that. Because Josh Reynolds he's got a track record, whereas Raymond, well, he has a track record too, and it's not good. But I think the more explosive play, like if you're going to play DFS and you want one of the guys, to just go off and be worth their money, I would put my money on Raymond.
All right, there you go.
And David Montgomery, he's supposed to get all. It should be amazing today, but
Yeah, we didn't mention that. Yeah. You kind of mentioned it when we were talking there that he's going to get the ball 35 times, and you know what? He is going to get the ball 35 times. I would definitely play him. He's one of the top plays this week.
Yeah.
And
on
Gibbs hurt. Yeah.
You're going to run into him on DFS, and like your opponent's going to have him if you're playing head to head on DFS. Like most lineups are going to have him. He's $6,600 on DraftKings this week. It's just super cheap.
He's in my lineup.
All right, and then Jared Goff's at home.
Yep.
Yeah, so we know what to do with that. Next.
All right. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Steelers. Let me see. I lost my spot. There we go. Minus 4.5 for Baltimore. Over under 38. Money line minus 218 and plus 180 if you're betting on the Steelers. Looks like we have Justin Hill, who's questionable for running back, and Odell Beckham Jr., who's still questionable for running back.
And if it matters, I think OBJ is going to play. It sounds like he is, but
I don't think it matters.
I don't think that matters. Yeah.
No, we figured out. Like, I'm so glad I bet on Zay Flowers being the number one in this offense.
Good.
Because, like, we're 4 weeks in, and like Bateman and Duvernay have played 2 games combined or something like that. OBJ's played 2 games, maybe. I think he's played 2 games. I think he played the first and the second game. And you've got Zay Flowers looking like a first-round draft pick. One of the favorite things that I've said so far this season was about Lamar Jackson. Like, I think he's just going to keep doing this every week. Like he's going to have an MVP like season because he has to. They don't have a running back. They don't have a running game outside of Lamar Jackson right now. The passing game looked a little better last week. So I'm hoping that continues. Mark Andrews scored twice last week. And they're going against the Steelers this week, who've just been roasted by number 1 wide receivers. I sent you guys the stats on the Colts last night, right? Mm-hmm. The Steelers are worse. The Steelers are actually worse. They've given up 30-plus points 3 times.
And their tight end's out, too. I forgot to mention that.
Freiermuth. Freiermuth is out. So let's talk about the Steelers running game, Brian. What's going on?
I can blame that, or I can put that in a song. Blame Canada. I'm just like,
where's our drop?
Yeah.
Where's our blame Canada?
As a Steeler fan, I hate Canada so much, And I'm like, when the stands are chanting to fire your OC, like there's a reason. And we all see it. We don't understand the play calling. It makes no sense. I don't know what he's doing half the time. It's like, dude. But Najee was actually running well that game. We were getting chunk plays on the ground, and then we kept having Pickett chuck it. And it's like, well, why are we doing that?
Here's what I see. I see a team that desperately needs Deontay Johnson.
I agree with that too. It would be very, very nice to have him back.
He's to me, he's that he is what's missing from the offense because they're just not able to stay on schedule through the passing game. They just can't. Like they've got Pickens, who we already thought had a limited route tree, and he's been better than we thought, right?
Right, but not that alpha number one.
And he doesn't run those routes that get you 6, 7, 8 yards. You know, it's not sexy, but those a lot of times those are the routes that that ARSB runs. Those are the routes that Cooper Kupp runs, and you break a tackle, or a guy misses an assignment, and all of a sudden that's a 20-yard gain. But those are the things that they're missing on right now. Is Kenny Pickett has nowhere to go with the ball. It's like Pickens, Freiermuth. Oh, no, I'm not even going to try and check it down because there's no one to check it down to. Because like his other option right now is Calvin Austin. That's your number 2 wide receiver right now is Calvin Austin.
And he's our big play guy. And he should not be our number 2.
Oh yeah, he's your Tutu Atwell. Like he should. Right. He runs reverses, he runs little quick routes. He's your bubble screen guy. But they really need their move the chains guy, is what it looks like to me.
Well, and that's what Najee should be while Johnson's out. You know what I mean? And they gave him the ball 9 times last week, and that was ridiculous. He was moving the pile. He looked good.
But see, they can't. But you can't unless they're gonna commit to giving Najee the ball 30 times. That kind of offense isn't going to work because you're gonna Najee's going to have his good runs. He's going to have he had a couple of runs for 10+ yards. I'm pretty sure in that game, right? I remember there was at least one run where he looked spectacular, where he made a couple of guys miss, stiff armed a guy, and didn't even go down. He ran it like they pushed him out of bounds, like 25 yards downfield or something like that. And to me, it just seemed like they didn't get a chance to keep running the football because they couldn't pass the football.
Yeah.
So I don't think Matt Canada is good at all. I think we're at 39 consecutive games now without the Steelers gaining 400 yards of offense, which is, that's a crazy.
Thanks for depressing me this morning.
Sorry, if they do it again today, it'll be 40 straight games.
Wow. and we will do it again today. This is going to be a defensive game. Like this has got to be if it's going to be a high-scoring game, we are in trouble.
Oh yeah.
But these games usually are just defensive slogfests, and that's what I expect this one to be. You know what I mean? This is going to be 17-13 or something like that.
The Steelers hope.
Do you think
they hope? But you guys weren't able to hold down Houston, so I'm a little worried.
So Brian, are you going to make your obligatory Pittsburgh Steelers pick?
No, I think we're at home after a bad loss. We're going to win today.
All right.
And shout out to Chris, who I know is not listening, but he's in Pittsburgh for his 50th birthday today. He's never gone to see a Pittsburgh game in Pittsburgh. And so for his 50th birthday, He's going out to see the Ravens Steelers games at home, dude. How cool is that?
That's cool.
That's pretty cool. So his birthday is today?
This week.
Okay.
But yeah.
That would have been something if it landed on today,
Right.
So next up we got Houston versus the Falcons, +2 for the Houston. Over-under's at 41.5. +114 is the money line, -135 if you're betting on the Falcons. Right now, currently, Houston has John Mechie as questionable, but if he returns, Robert Woods will probably see a little bit less targets.
So talk about Mechie real quick, if you don't mind.
Me? Oh, sure. Mechie, he looks okay when he's on the field. It looks like they're not. It looks like he's on pitch count.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't come in with particular packages. He comes in sporadically. He's looked decent, but it's without them when they're giving so much volume to Nico Collins and Tank Dell, it's hard to put much into him right now. Like I have him on a dynasty league and a dynasty roster, and I can't let him go because I like him so much.
That's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah, I like him so much I can't let him go. But I'm waiting, and I think I'll probably in a position where I can be patient. So I'm gonna give him the year. At this point, I don't have high hopes because of how good Tank Dell and Nico Collins have looked. But that's where I'm at. These two teams are going in different directions, very different directions, and it's crazy because it's all based on the quarterback. Because going into the season, we had much higher hopes for the Falcons than we did for the Texans. 4 weeks into the season, we're looking at the Falcons be picking in the top 5 again, and the Texans could, they might challenge for a playoff spot this year. So. And that's really what's going on. Like when you watch the two teams play, the energy is so much different. The Texans are excited, and the Falcons just you got Mac Hollins yelling at Desmond Ridder on the sideline and then having to explain himself to the media. I don't know if you saw that this week. It was really good though.
No.
He's like Mac Hollins. I like Mac Hollins a lot. He's a cool dude, but he was because he got caught yelling at Ridder on the sidelines. People were asking him what's going on. Are you calling him out for throwing bad balls and this and that and the other? And so he had to be like, hey, I'm not a quarterback, so I can't say anything about how a quarterback should throw a football. But it's just like, this is not the kind of conversations you want to be having,
as a team. Yeah.
As like things are not going well if this is what we're talking about. So until the Falcons make a quarterback change or Desmond Ridder gets struck by lightning or like what was that movie Rookie of the Year where he breaks his arm and
comes back stronger. Yeah,
he comes back with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball to 13-year-old or something like that. Unless something like that happens for Desmond Ridder, because he just looks awful. Like he doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. He looks like a good college quarterback because they don't typically have to throw the ball into tight windows or to unopened receivers.
Right. And
also like when he chooses to take off and run, it's more successful than it is in the NFL. I don't see it. Like I didn't see it before the season, and in dynasty leagues that I started this year, I made sure to pick up Taylor Heineke because I knew he was going to be the starting quarterback eventually. But yeah, that's as a fantasy manager, that's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for Taylor Heineke and just hoping that when he does get to start, that these pass options get a little better in Atlanta, because it's not good.
And to come off that, like the Falcons, you don't want to start anybody in their receiving game right now. If you absolutely had to because of bye week, put in Drake London, okay, I guess. But other than that, there's nobody.
You feel bad.
Yeah, you don't want to do it. Kyle Pitts is a bench, man. He might even be a drop in regular
redraft. He might, In redraft, he might be a drop because you've got Jonnu Smith outperforming him,
which is insane. So,
after I traded Kyle Pitts in the second rounder for Andrews, I went to the waiver wire and picked up Jonnu Smith.
You can trade him later. Same guy. But Bijan Robinson, on the other hand, should have a big day today. He's going to get fed. He's going to get the ball a ton. And the Houston D is something that is better than last year. Definitely has their playmakers. Don't let people tell you that they're horrible because they're not. But they are going to give up some chunk plays on the ground, and Bijan is going to have a day. On the Houston side, Stroud, man, this guy is great. What a quarterback this guy is going to be. I am excited to see what he is going to be in the league. He's on all my dynasty teams, which just makes me so happy. But the thing is even this year, like he's a viable quarterback.
You're starting now.
I'm picking him up in all my quarterback in all my leagues where I'm streaming quarterback. I'm looking for Stroud.
In my oldest dynasty league, the person who drafted Stroud this year just brought him up off the taxi squad to start him over Joe Burrow last week. So,
yep, good play.
that's where we're at. Yeah, it was a great play. She won. Yep. Stroud looks awesome, and I got to say, him and Zach Wilson just really make me smile right now because they're just like, they were CJ Stroud. Like when you're coming out of college and as a quarterback, when you come out of college and someone gets drafted over you, that is an indictment, on you, because that's what we do in the NFL is the best quarterback goes number one. CJ, the NFL told CJ Stroud that he wasn't the best quarterback. Like the NFL told CJ Stroud, we don't know if you can do it. We believe in Bryce Young. We don't know if you can do it. And I was screaming at anybody who would listen about it back in March and April when I was watching the rookie tape. I just didn't. CJ Stroud is doing everything that you saw in the Georgia game. Like if you watched the Georgia game, his last bowl game as a college athlete, he's doing all of that stuff. He's decisive, and not even just decisive in the passing. Like when he's passing the ball, he's decisive taking off out of the pocket too. He's seeing everything. It's crazy. Like he looks so good.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Houston fans have got to be super, super happy. And
he looks better
so do his receivers.
Huh?
I said, and so do his receivers. I mean, Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Who the heck was talking about these guys preseason? You know what I mean?
I like Tank Dell, and like the fact that CJ Stroud was such a big fan and was so instrumental in the Texans drafting him. Like Tank Dell was high on my list. I have him in all but one of my dynasty leagues.
Now, it seems to me that this is becoming. It looks like Nico Collins is the number one. He's your big man. He's your 1A. And it looks like Tank Dell is more of the big play guy, the big play down the field guy. I feel like they're both going to get their games, but I feel like Nico is going to have more good games than Tank is.
And based on the box score, that was my first thought too. Was like maybe I was wrong, and maybe I was wrong, and maybe Nico Collins is the number one. But if you watch that game against Pittsburgh, the first person that they go to is Dell. Like he's the first person they try to get involved in the game. I think that the Steelers just struggle more with Nico Collins' type, the type of wide receiver that he is. I think gives me a little bit of pause about Zay Flowers today, because he's on the smaller side. He's more like Tank Dell than he is Nico Collins. And the Steelers have struggled against big receivers this year, more than they have against smaller receivers. Right. So I think there's something to that. But if you watch their offense play out, it's hard to tell who they like better. It really is.
Yep. We'll be told with time.
But Collins looks great.
Pierce is kind of an afterthought. Play him if you have to.
He looks really good. Like Pierce looks great, and to me, as this Houston, as their offense continues to grow and get better, I think Dameon Pierce is a buy low. Like, the first 4 weeks of the season, he hasn't been spectacular. Teams that drafted him as their number one running back could be struggling, and could be irritated that he hasn't gone off for like a 25-point game yet. So you might be able to get him, and I would, because their schedule is great. If you looked at their schedule,
and Stroud being so good is going to open up holes for him. So maybe they don't concentrate so much on the running game, and he's got bigger holes to run through. And
also, we got to remember that he's only 4 weeks into his NFL career. The longer quarterbacks are in the league, the more willing they are to check the ball down. So as the season progresses, and if they continue to play well and he doesn't have hiccups and go backwards, I expect Dameon Pierce to get more involved in the passing game as well.
All right.
Because he's getting all the snaps. He gets all the snaps. He's on the field all the time.
I'm definitely taking Houston. What about you?
Oh, yeah.
Ray?
Yeah, I'm going Houston.
All right.
It's not like the Falcons are like doing extraordinary for it's
I expect them to be a little better. Honestly, they're okay. But
it's the quarterback. I'm telling you,
yeah,
man.
No, you're right.
Okay.
They put a competent quarterback in there, a guy that can actually find the.
Sorry, I played that prematurely.
What was that?
Cowbell. I figured we needed more of it.
More time.
So I was just gonna play it before the next one, but I don't know. I don't really like how that one came out.
Yeah. So the last thing on the Falcons is just they need a better quarterback. That's it. They look good. There's so many good looking pieces on that team
We
but
will
they're
start and end with the same thought.
Are we moving on?
Yes.
yeah.
All right. So next up we have Tennessee Titans versus the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, whatever. Minus 2.5. Over under is 43.5. Money line is minus 135. And if you're betting on the Colts, plus 114. The running back for Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor, has apparently been activated from the PUP list.
Big news this week. Big news.
And Traylon Burks, the wide receiver for Tennessee, is out.
Yeah.
All right, now you guys can go.
So I actually think this is one of the sneaky fantasy bonanza games today. Like one of my I decided to actually go back to making multiple tournament lineups, and one of my stacks is from this game. So the Titans can't stop anybody's pass offense. So I expect Anthony Richardson to have a monster game today. And the Colts can't stop anybody's running attack. The Colts are just getting beat up on the ground. And they've been good against slot receivers, but they haven't been very good against number ones. Like we talked about that yesterday. Now, most people, I've seen this all over the place, is like they're going to start DeAndre Hopkins because of that. But based on what I'm seeing, I would rather start Westbrook-Ikhine today than Hopkins. I think he's gonna have a monster game today.
And that's a spicy take that you've backed up in our league of record here. You're starting him.
I'm gonna start him over Tutu Atwell, over Jerry Jeudy, over Josh Downs, over Jaden Reed. Those are my options.
Yeah, I would have started him over those two.
I think Josh Downs is gonna have an awesome game today too.
Oh,
I do. I like Josh Downs, Anthony Richardson, and who we forgetting? Michael Pittman.
Yeah,
Have good games today. But
absolutely. And the Tennessee side, I mean, what about King Henry?
He looked
How do
great.
you feel about him?
Oh, he looks great. He looks fine. It's definitely not him. He was making guys miss last week, bouncing off guys. He looked fast. I'd be happy to trade for him in a dynasty league if I'm making a run in a championship.
And Spears is just a fantastic backup.
And Spears is he's special, and you can see that they really like him. That they design plays to get him the ball in the passing game. And I think he's gonna have a monster game today too. I really think this. I don't think either of these teams can really stop each other. So I expect this to be a high scoring game.
And what about Taylor coming out for the first time going against this Tennessee D?
You're like, if you have Jonathan Taylor, you start him, because this was the smartest thing that I saw about it on Twitter yesterday was you will hate yourself much less if you start Jonathan Taylor and he's a dud than if you bench Jonathan Taylor and he goes off.
Too true.
So start Jonathan Taylor. Like you just want to hate yourself less.
But yeah, and yes, but I don't expect a huge game out of him this week. But look to him in the future. See if you can buy him low if you can.
And if you are somebody who needs a running back start, because there were a bunch of guys who were questionable this week. Like for me, like I've got Javonte Williams, who we're still like we expect him to play at this moment, but we're not. We're not entirely. He practiced all week.
Okay. I thought we were going the other way with it. Honestly, all the sites have him projected at 0. I'm like, oh.
True. No, not Sleeper. Sleeper still has him for 11, and he's as of 5 hours ago, game time decision. As of 5 hours ago, it was 3:30 in the morning. People, for me anyway.
Well, we'll be finding out anytime now.
But he was a full participant in practice. He wasn't even limited. He was full participant in practice. So and he was supposed to be a game time decision last week. So. I'd be surprised if he doesn't play. But if you need a running back, that's the reason I bring this up. Is I think Tajay Spears is worth an emergency start.
I hope you're right, because I actually have one league where he is an emergency start for me. And I mean emergency.
No, I think you're going to be happy. I think he's going to put up 10 plus PPR points today.
Whew, if he does, I will be very happy.
I don't think he's scored yet, and I think today he scores.
Cool. All right, I'm taking the Colts here.
I want to, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the Titans.
Ken, I think you are lone wolfing this.
Yes, he is.
Alrighty, so let me flip back over here for a second. And next up we have... Wait, I'm going to play the sound effect here. So next up we have... I know it's New England, and there you are. New England. I just had to find them on the page. Saints and the Patriots. Plus 1.5 on the Saints. Over unders 39. Plus 102 is the money line for the Saints. Minus 122 for the Patriots. Quite a bit of injuries here, or injury updates. Ramondre, how do you say that? Stevenson, anyway, running back for New England, is questionable. Then we have Juwan Johnson, tight end for New Orleans. He's out. And Derek Carr is also questionable for New Orleans.
Derek Carr played last week, though.
Yeah, Carr's expected to play, and so is Stevenson.
So, based on the box score from last week, you would just assume that Derek Carr's injury had a profound effect on his ability to play football. But if you watch the game, I don't think that was the case. I think because he took a couple of shots deep, and the ball looked fine, and he looked fine throwing it. They just couldn't get open. And you know what happened? And I think this is going to continue to happen. The Buccaneers doubled Chris Olave all day long. He had two guys on him all day long, and the other guys can't win. So, and when the other guys can't win, then Derek Carr checks it down to Alvin Kamara. So
13 times.
13 times. And if you, again, reading the box score, you read 13 catches for 33 yards, and you're like, oh my God, Kamara really is done. He really is toast. Watching the game, he looked good. He looks good. He still looks fast. He's a special athlete. He got the ball a couple of times. Got thrown the ball a couple of times behind the line of scrimmage. In like desperation situations where he wasn't going to make anything happen, but he broke a few tackles in the game. He looked really good on the ground. And if you looked at his ground numbers, I think it was, I think he averaged almost 5 yards a carry on the ground, and that was with some negative plays. So there was definitely more to that game than what you saw from the box score. Like people were jumping on Derek Carr for his arm. That's not what I saw when I watched the game. I think, and I would expect him to play again today. He did not seem limited by his arm. He seemed limited by the talent around him.
So how do you think that New Orleans offense is going to do against New England then if Carr's in there and he's okay?
Poorly. Because Bill Belichick is still, the defensive master. They just traded for J.C. Jackson, who, if you remember, was a big free agent signing for the Chargers from the Patriots. Like it's a very similar situation. If you remember back in the day when the Eagles overpaid for Asante Samuel Sr.
Okay.
And then 2 years later he was back in New England because he had flamed out in Philly because he wasn't worth that money. He was just really successful in the Bill Belichick scheme. And so I do expect that J.C. Jackson will be a boost to their defense. They had some major losses last week. They lost Matthew Judon, and they lost Christian Gonzalez, the rookie, who's the rookie cornerback who's been playing really well. But their defense is the best part of their team. They're at home. They just got embarrassed last week against Dallas. I expect them to play better today, and I expect the Patriots to win.
All right. Yeah.
And it's going to be Hunter Henry. Sorry, that's it. You're going to start Hunter Henry. If Ramondre plays, you have to start him.
Right.
And that's it. There's nothing else on that offense that you want.
For New England, yeah, I think you're right there. And Saints, you've got Kamara, Olave, Thomas. If you just want, 9 PPR points,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's what you want. That's what you need. And so,
Yeah,
I mean, he's worth putting in for that. And maybe he catches an odd touchdown. You never know.
Yeah, he's not beating anybody though. Like
Right.
He's not winning downfield. Like especially once the ball is in his hands, he's that's it. Wherever he catches the ball is probably where he's going down.
And do you have any opinions on Kondre Miller?
I mean, drop him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't
Dynasty, he's a hold, and redraft, he's just
in Dynasty he's a hold for sure because we think this is probably Kamara's last year in New Orleans, but Kamara got all of the snaps.
Okay. This is a pick'em game for me. This is a real tough one. You mentioned the Patriots being a little beat up there, and honestly, Patriots just not looking good. Not that the Saints did either last week, but I've seen a little bit more life out of the Saints. They have more playmakers. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Saints.
So we all go
kind
Saints.
of reluctantly.
No, I'm going to pick this. I'm going to pick the Patriots' own.
Oh no! Oh yeah.
Yeah, Brian's going to take the Saints.
That's what I meant.
And then Ken and Ray are both taking the Patriots.
Yeah, I think the
it's no surprise that I might pick the Patriots, though, right?
the biggest thing about the Saints to me is that their defense is not near as good as people thought it was going to be. And I talked about this going into the season. Like everybody was, all about the Saints and the Saints going to roll this division and how I wanted to crap all over it because this is exactly what I saw. Is like they've got their defense is supposed to be held up by a couple of guys who are, not anywhere close to their prime anymore. When you're talking about Cam Jordan and I can't even remember his name, the cornerback that shuts down Mike Evans. We know he shuts down Mike Evans. Lattimore. Yes, but that's about all he does anymore. That's elite.
That's when we hear about him now. It's like you never hear his name until he goes up against Evans and starts a fight.
Honestly, I hope he's sending Mike Evans a Christmas card every year because that dude's making him money.
Yeah. All right.
So
moving on.
All right. So my stressful game of the week: Philadelphia Eagles versus the LA Rams. Philadelphia Eagles -4, over under at 50.5. Ooh, high scoring game. -198 if you're betting on the Eagles, +164 if you're betting on the Rams. And it looks like neither team except for the Rams, which I'm pretty sure we're thinking Cooper Kupp starting.
Yes, he is.
Really have.
Yeah.
Well, nope. You know what? Doubtful. Rashad Penny on the Philadelphia
side.
Nobody cares.
Oh man, Rashad Penny. That's funny.
Yeah. Preseason compared to now, hilarious. But this is going to be a fun game. So you want to get us started off with what you saw last week, Ken?
Yeah. We talked a little bit about it in the Homer Minute, but the Rams look explosive, and I am really, really, really excited to see what they can do with Cooper Kupp because I talked about this last week. They look like they're just missing him in the red zone. Like Matt Stafford is not throwing touchdown passes right now because he doesn't have anybody getting open in the red zone.
Right.
And for as great as Puka Nacua has been for fantasy football, when he catches the ball, he's covered. When you see all the time, like he's not creating a whole lot of separation. He's big and he has good ball skills. Like he makes an acrobatic catch, like that could have been an interception type of catch. If he doesn't get his hand on it and catch it, it seems like every week. Where he's reaching up above his body, behind his body, putting one hand on the ball and somehow pulling it in. And but if you're paying attention to that too, there's also a defender right on his back most of the time. And so what I'm saying is like Cooper Kupp's going to come in here, and I think they're going to start scoring in the red zone. And because right now the only way they're scoring in the red zone is with Kyren Williams, and I think that's going to change. And then on the other side. The Eagles are just, it seems like impossible to stop right now on the run. Their offensive line is just cooking. They're so in tune with each other. However, Cam Jurgens is now out. Their stud right guard, who's like they drafted him as a center, but Jason Kelsey's not ready to retire yet.
Right.
So Yeah, so when he retires, Jurgens will move over to center. But they love him, and he's really good. I know I was jealous when they drafted him because we didn't have a center yet, or not a future center. Um, but their passing game looks a little out of sync.
Yes, it does.
They've had some success because they've got such gifted athletes out there, but they're not clicking. And some of their plays are, I think, was it Jalen Hurts got hit in the face when he threw a touchdown pass last week, and a lot of their plays are just really, really, really close to being disasters too. Whereas last year they were just crushing people, so it doesn't look exactly the same. And I don't know if that's just because like they have a different offensive coordinator and they're still trying to get everything together, and maybe like their offense is going to get even better, but and the Rams have not been able to stop anybody's passing game. They've been really good on the ground, which they've got Aaron Donald, so you expect that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're going to get a game where Jalen Hurts just goes off here pretty soon. Like he's got all these people talking about him now, and he's a competitor, and he's a really good quarterback. So I think he's this could be a game where Stafford and Hurts go for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns each. Like to me, this is the funnest game to watch. Like as far as like fantasy football is concerned, all day.
And I was going to say, from a fantasy football perspective, I completely agree. I think this is going to be a bonanza right here. Eagles side, I mean, I think Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. Of course, you're playing all three of those guys. You're hoping you get the receiver that goes off. And this week I'm betting on Devontae Smith being that receiver that goes off. He is the zone beater. Rams like to play zone. I think that the big long plays, the big touchdown is going to go to Devontae Smith this week. And on the and then of course Swift has earned that starting job over there. You got to start him if you have him.
Yeah.
So basically you're starting your big four there in Philly. I expect something out of Devontae and the Rams. I'm just so excited. I really, really like the Rams, how they're doing things, how they're coming together right now. Stafford is playing lights out, and now they get Cooper Kupp back. Yeah, dude, I am super, super excited. You're starting Cooper Kupp. I think you're still starting Puka. I think Tutu is a guy that you're probably sitting unless you're desperate. And bye weeks have started. You might be desperate, and you could do worse. So.
Oh yeah, I think you've been just ecstatic to start Puka the last 3 weeks or so,
mm-hmm.
and you're nervous today.
True, but you're still starting him.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Tutu, I think you're sitting him.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same as with Jonathan Taylor, but it's pretty close. He's been so good that it's all time good.
Yeah.
Most catches, most yards. Like he's already topped some records that are for a player's first 5 games in his first 4.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's insane. That's insane. The NFL is over 100 years old. So to be breaking those kinds of records is really nuts. And people think of now as the golden era for offense, and you should look at some of the stuff that was done in the 50s, like with Otto Graham and the Browns, and then with Norm Van Brocklin and the Rams. Like they were insane. Some of those records won't fall ever.
And then the last one to talk about is Williams there. Kyren Williams, he's been having a heck of a year, and he's just getting the ball 100% of the time.
Not anymore. Ronnie Rivers finally took a bite into that. I'm glad you brought that up because that last week was the first time I saw where Rivers was actually in the game, and not just like it wasn't just like we just had 3 drives with nothing but Kyren Williams, send Rivers out there for a 3-and-out drive or something like that. They were actually mixing the running backs in and out of the game. Kyren Williams is getting the bulk of the work, but Rivers was in there, and I believe he had a couple targets. I'll have to look that up again.
Okay, go ahead and do that while we do the question here.
So we got a question. Start Cousins or Richardson?
Richardson.
Yeah, Richardson's a great play this week, and honestly, he might be a great play every week. The way this kid is looking, I mean, I am so impressed.
So,
Go ahead.
hey, real quick, Ronnie Rivers last week had 28% of the snaps, 9 carries, 47 yards, and he did have 2 catches for 10 yards.
Okay.
So that's something to pay attention to. If you are the Kyron Williams owner, and you've got space on your bench for Ronnie Rivers, you should pick him up.
Next question: start Brees and flex, and Ayuk or Olave for wide receiver, or bench Brees and start the receivers.
No, play Brees.
Yeah, Brees is one of my guys this week. Finally taken off his snap count.
That was announced that he's not.
And they need him. They need him. Yeah. I really think he's going to get 15 plus touches today. And if you give somebody that dynamic 15 plus touches, something's good's going to happen.
I think it's going to be 20.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be 20, but I'm saying it's going to be 15 plus for sure. Yes. I can't see how it's not.
100% agreed. And it wouldn't shock me if Brandon Ayuk had a better game than him today, but I would rather bet on Brees.
Agreed.
Thank you for your questions.
Real quick statistic that might interest this person is that the Cowboys run more man-to-man coverage than any other team in the NFL. And when the 49ers face man coverage, Brandon Ayuk has a 31% target share.
So that brings us to our next question. Ayuk or Olave to start?
Ayuk, not close. I like Olave, but this is based on what we've seen and what other defenses have been able to do against the Saints. This is not the week I'd be like, oh yeah, he's gonna go off this week. I mean, he's that good that he could go off. There's no way I would bet on him over Brandon Ayuk.
Well, and I mean, this is your defense, Dallas D. You know what I mean? One of the best Ds in the league. You're still saying definitely Ayuk.
I am.
Okay, that means something.
So McLaughlin or Hubbard? Who should I start?
Wow, now we're getting into some deep questions. That's a hell week question right there.
I would say I would rather play Hubbard because I'm not excited about playing Javonte, even if he's going to be 100% healthy and get all of his regular workload because they're playing the Jets today. So I'm not excited about Denver's running backs. I'd much rather, man, that is just a terrible decision to have to make though. I would rather play a Panthers running back because I think they're more likely to be in the game. I think Denver's going to get blown out in this game.
All right, Lewis K424, why don't you come back next week and let us know how we helped you out, or if we gave you terrible advice. We do it in the morning before the games get started. Obviously, the London game is going right now, but we go live in the 7 o'clock hour, ending in about the end of the 7 o'clock hour. We go live. But back to the Rams and Philly game. To touch on what you were saying about Rivers, he is very cheap in DraftKings right now. I think he's in 4,100 or something like that.
I'm not ready to play him there.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, it's just if there are plenty of people who are hurting for running backs, and when you look at the waiver wire, there's not a lot to get excited about.
Yeah, I think Kent's just saying he's a name to watch. You know what I mean? Yes, and especially if Kyron gets hurt, then he's you're going to want him for sure.
And when we're talking about running back specifically, that's the position you have to be ahead of. Like you can't wait for an injury to happen and then you want to go get the guy, because then you have to give up all your fab to get him. Because running back opportunity is so valuable in fantasy football. So all I was saying is that if you are struggling for running back and you have a droppable player, Ronnie Rivers is a guy that you can watch. He's a guy that you can beat the waiver wire, put him on your bench. If something happens today to Kyron Williams, it's just a big win for you. And if nothing happens and nothing changes and his snap count doesn't go up and he's he doesn't whatever, then you can drop him again.
Yep.
But it's a good strategy to have on the weekend after you've made all your start sit decisions and you're looking at guys. You're like, yeah, I don't really care about this guy or whatever. That's a good thing to do, is to go look at the running backs and go, who might get more opportunity, and make sure and be in front of the waiver wire and pick that guy up.
So, who are y'all picking for this game? I'm going Rams, obviously.
What are you doing, Ken?
Man, I'm gonna pick the Rams today.
Oh, god dang it! I am too.
Oh,
I
we're all
am too,
good.
dude. I'm on the upset today. I'll coming in. I thought this was going to be kind of a spicy pick that I took, but here you guys all agree with me.
The Eagles almost lost last week. They almost lost last week to Sam Howell at home.
Yeah, so I'm saying I think the Rams are hot and they're getting Cup back, and Philly is kind of, despite their record, I think they're just not quite in rhythm. They're stumbling a little bit, but.
And hopefully the Eagles are one of those teams that the Rams can have more fans at home then.
We're a destination stadium. I think that's going to be like that for a while till the Rams the Rams fans start getting a little bit more income and start being able to.
I don't think that's it,
go
dude.
to their own games.
You're in LA, so so you think about it, and like a lot.
I think it happens to Vegas too, right? They're like destination towns, so it's easy to go. Hey, let's go to an LA game.
And it also happens to the Cowboys in AT&T Stadium because of, but for the Cowboys, the problem is more their capacity. Like the fact that they can have 110,000 people in the building makes it hard to fill it with just Cowboys fans every week. But what I was going to say about LA is, like, you get off the plane at LAX and the stadium's like fucking 10 minutes away. So it's easy to get to. Whereas a lot of these other teams, they play in obscure places. It's like, yeah, they technically play, they call the city their home, but they don't play there.
Yeah.
They play in some, suburb. And so you can't like just fly there and go to their game. Whereas in Los Angeles, not only can you fly there and get to the game easily, like there's also many more reasons to fly to Los Angeles.
So as just kind of a note here, here's one of those. Here I'm like leaning into the theories part of our podcast again. This game right here is Rams. And what I'm feeling the vibe. This is the Rams' playoff or bust game. If they can't get through the Eagles, then we're gonna have one of those seasons where we're probably gonna miss the playoffs.
And just one final note, I just got an alert on my phone. Mike Garofalo says not to expect a decrease in reps for Rams rookie Puka Nacua. The team believes there's enough passes for both him and Cooper Kupp.
I think it's
gonna
Van
be
Jefferson.
slinging. He's slinging today.
To me, I think Van Jefferson is the guy that loses his snaps. I don't think it's Tutu. I don't think it's Puka Nacua. I think Puka Nacua becomes the number 2, and Tutu is the guy they like to move around and see what you're going to do, and take the top off your defense.
There you go. And hey, since we picked that game, we're coming up on 9 o'clock hour. I was going to do the injury report real quick, if you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay. Derek Carr is in as expected, and Kenny Pickett, not expected to play earlier in the week, but he is in and going to play. Hopefully play well. Come on, Kenny. Garoppolo is expected to start, but he is Monday night, so we don't know for 100% sure. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, as we talked about, is in. Saquon Barkley is out. Out, people. Adjust your lineups. Saquon Barkley is out. Jahmyr Gibbs out. Ramondre Stevenson is in, as expected. Justice Hill is in. Who cares? Javonte Williams is still a game time decision for the afternoon game, which unfortunately is going to make your decisions tough, guys. Good luck with that one. Hopefully you have some backup plans. Aaron Jones is questionable for Monday.
Well, real quick, like when something like that happens, so we're coming in on the time where you have to make your decisions on who you're starting. With it sitting like this, should you just sit Javonte Williams?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much starting your other option at this point, I would think, unless it is just absolute desperation.
Yeah, I have to gamble because I can't just go get somebody for 10 points and be like, oh, that's going to be good enough to win. I need Javonte to have a 20-point game today. So
Good luck,
So
sir.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I know I need it. Like my opponent had DJ Moore.
Yeah.
So like if you're in a situation like that, like I agree with Brian. Like if you're just if your match is expected to be close, do the smart thing and get somebody who's going to score some points. Like pick up like if Matt Breida happens to be available because he got dropped.
Real world right here. I'm making this decision this week. I have to choose between putting in Tajay Spears for the guaranteed points or waiting for Javonte Williams. That's my choice right there, and I'm taking Spears.
I would play Spears. I would happily play Spears.
I don't know about happily, but I'm playing Spears.
In that situation, no, me personally, from what I've seen, like I think the Spears breakout game is coming, and today makes a lot of sense.
All right. I hope you're right, man. That league needs it. Last running back is Elijah Mitchell. He is out, so McCaffrey's going to get a lot of snaps. Okay, wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown is out. Jameson Williams is in with limited snaps. Josh Reynolds is in. Devontae Adams is questionable for Monday. T. Higgins is not expected to play. No T. Higgins. And Odell is in and reportedly already catching one-handed catches on the sideline. And tight end Luke Musgrave is in. And that should be it for the injury report. Hopefully your guys are in, guys.
Next game up is the Bengals versus Arizona Cardinals. Bengals -3, over-under is 45, -170 is the money line, and +142 if you're betting on the Cardinals.
So I thought Joe Burrow looked a lot better last week than he did on the Monday night game against the Rams. And like, if I had him and I suffered through last week, I wouldn't be running away from him this week. I think he's going to continue.
Even with the Arizona defense playing pretty decent?
They're not.
No?
No, they're not. They're not good. No, the Arizona defense is not good. Their offense has been surprisingly adequate. Josh Dobbs looks like an NFL quarterback. There are definitely not 31 quarterbacks that are better than him.
Yes, one of the surprises of the season.
To be honest with you, I'm not that surprised.
I like what he did at the end of the last year. You know what I mean? Coming in with no reps, no nothing, and like leading the team to a win. You're like, whoa, who's this guy?
He almost beat the Cowboys on Thursday night with no Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So yeah. And watching the game, I was like, and I remember them talking about him being like, he's like an astrophysicist or something like that. Like he's got, or he's some sort of scientific genius in addition to being a good football player.
Wow.
He's a really smart guy, and he's a big dude. He's like 6'3", 230. Like he's a big dude, and like he's big. He's
when
really
you see
smart.
his headshot, he does not look like a big guy. He looks like
no,
this
he
little
doesn't.
kid,
He looks like
you know?
a dude, like the way because he doesn't have any hair. And
Yeah, he looks like a baby boy.
but he's a good football player. I like Josh Dobbs, and I like some of the things that the Cardinals have going on offense. Michael Wilson looks awesome.
Yeah, another surprise.
Zach Ertz is probably like 6 inches away from being tight end 1 this year with like a couple of missed touchdowns that went off of his fingertips. And then Marquise Brown. And you know that I'm a Marquise Brown not lover.
Right.
and he looks great. He
does.
In their offense, he looks great. And especially with Michael Wilson on the other side, they actually look like they can do something.
And James Conner's running like a beast.
And thank you for bringing him up because he's the one thing that you want to watch out for because right now he's putting up big numbers, but I think he's a sell high because Emery DeMarcado, if you're not familiar with that name, he came up. He's an undrafted rookie. He had some really good tape in the summer, and he's been getting more and more snaps every week, and he looks good.
All right.
So he's somebody that if you are a James Conner manager, you should make sure that you get him too.
Keep an eye on it. All right.
Okay, so everybody going Cardinals then, right?
So I want to. I really want to because they've looked good enough that they they deserve to be picked in like a pick'em game. But I believe in Joe Burrow, and I believe he's one of those quarterbacks that just will find a way to win games when his team has to win. So I'm going to pick the Bengals today. And also, I think that Joe Mixon is going to have a monster game. The Cardinals are terrible against the run, and Joe Mixon has looked really good. He's looked really fresh, like actually making guys miss, beating people to the edge. Like, he looks good.
What do you think, Brian?
I think this is an upset week. I like my upsets this week, and I am taking the Cardinals.
Is that an upset? What's the line on this game? I'm sorry.
It is. Let me see.
Because it wouldn't surprise me if the Cardinals were favored.
+3 for the Cardinals.
Okay.
I'm going with Brian on this one.
Yeah, I think
Lone Wolf, man. I'm picking all these.
We're gonna give
all these upsets, and I can't get a Lone Wolf.
We're going to give Ken a good opportunity here to separate from us because he's got 2 Lone Wolves here so far.
And he's been hot this year.
All right, so next up we got the KC Chiefs against Minnesota Vikings. -3.5 for Kansas City. Over/under is 52.5. -192 is the money line, and +160 if you're betting on the Vikings.
Here's a hot take: start Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is going to destroy these Vikings. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bad, and I think it's gonna. And I mean, another hot take: it's going to be Travis Kelce, but I think Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are just going to murder the Vikings today.
Now the real question is: are the Vikings going to be able to keep up? Is this going to be one of those game of the week high scores, or is this going to be 42-12 or something?
The Vikings do not look near as explosive this year as they have in the last couple of years.
But they have these weapons, man. They have to put up some points, right?
Alexander Mattison is not Dalvin Cook in his prime.
Well, duh.
you say that, but it's they bet on him as their number one. So, like if it were me, I would have. If it were me, and they've been watching this guy for years, so they should know what he can do and what he can't do, and how And there was buzz about Madison. They could have traded him. They could have traded.
They would have got much though. I mean, you're talking 6 rounds.
How much do you really need? Like, they could have traded Madison like at the end of last year, going in the offseason or whatever, and picked up a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, and then you draft a rookie running back. And look at what we get out of rookie running back.
You think they could have gotten a 3rd or a 4th from Madison last year?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's dreaming a bit high there, but maybe. And then what do they do? So. You know what I mean? Then they just have to draft 2 rookies.
Running back. Then you draft a running back. Yes. Yeah. Because that's the way to go.
And I'm not that down on Madison yet. He showed some improvement. You know what I mean? He's been run a little harder since Cam Akers got there and started challenging him, I think.
It's that he's not a weapon in the passing game. That's what's missing is their screen game. They have no screen game.
Gotcha.
And they used to just destroy people with Dalvin Cook, catching the ball and taking off. He did, even last year. How many times Dalvin Cook had multiple 60+ yard catches last year?
Yeah, no, Madison is not Cook. Don't get me wrong. He's not. I'm not arguing that, but I'm arguing that he might be a serviceable, middling number 2 running back this year.
Yeah, he's definitely. Well, I mean, yeah, in fantasy.
In fantasy.
Yeah, but I think they drafted him hoping he'd be a fringe number 1.
Yes, I did. But I also
number 2 because he's.
But you got him for a number 2 price. You hope that maybe he'd be a low end number 1. You got him for number 2 price, and he's going to end up being a mid to low end number 2. That's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not terrible.
If that's where he stays.
I don't think he's going to have a great game today. I actually don't think I don't like the Vikings today at all. I don't think they've played very well, and I think this sets up poorly for them. This sets up for them.
You're still playing Jefferson. You're still playing Hawkinson. Probably still playing Cousins, but like we advised our other, our questioner earlier, there might be better options like Anthony Richardson, and if you have that, then do that.
This is where I would start Addison.
Would start Addison. That was going to be one of my questions. Okay.
We talked about this last week. what's going on with him, because when he put up a 0, and they're going to throw the ball all game long. So this is a game where I wouldn't want to start Madison because he hasn't been good in the passing game, and I would want to start Addison because when the Vikings have had to throw the ball, the 2 games where they face quarterbacks that can put points up on the board, Addison's had good games.
That's fair. All right. Moving on, so.
Are we? Okay. Let me see here. Let me pull it back up.
I don't think there was anything else to talk about with the Chiefs except for
start Pacheco, but I don't expect a huge day from him today. I mean,
I know I do actually.
Do
I
you?
was going to say
Okay.
that's the other thing is I think we figured that out now. Is he's the next option that is an auto start for the Chiefs. Like, you can start Mahomes, Kelsey, and Pacheco every week.
yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so next up we have New York Jets versus the Denver Broncos, plus 2.5 for the Jets. Over unders 42.5, plus 114 is the money line, minus 135 for the Denver Broncos.
I'm sorry, who's favored? I didn't.
The Broncos are favored.
No, the Jets are favored by 2.5, right?
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Come on, Zach Wilson. Show us
Hey.
something, buddy.
did you watch Sunday Night Football?
Dude, I know. I'm just saying, like, he's got to string some games together. If he
Yes,
doesn't play,
yeah.
like, he needs to play well today. That's what
that
I
is
want to
the-
see.
That's
Come
the
on,
next
buddy. Come on.
Like he played well in a primetime game. He had a little bit of a gaffe at the end of the game.
Right.
But I thought he played really well, especially considering the Jets were down in that game. Big. They were down 17-0 at one point or something like
Yeah.
that, and he brought them all the way back. So I was real happy. I really enjoyed the interaction between Rodney Harrison and Chris Jones after the game. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No.
Rodney Harrison calling the Jets trash and calling Zach Wilson garbage, and then when they had asked Chris Jones a question, and Chris Jones in the response said Zach Wilson's special, and Rodney Harrison cuts him off and says, "No, he's not." and you see Chris Jones like, you know who you're talking to, bro? Like, I'm all-pro defensive lineman who still plays in the NFL. My opinion supersedes yours.
Nice.
is the way that I took it. Like, I thought Chris Jones handled that situation really well because Rodney Harrison was abrasive and annoying. And yeah, Rodney Harrison, you're abrasive and annoying. You should shut up.
Heard it here first.
You heard it here first. And I was really happy for Zach Wilson, and like someone who's been like behind him, like, for a while now. He's showing all the things that you want to see out of an NFL quarterback. It's just that, what it seems like to me is that he doesn't, like, if Zach Wilson had been drafted by like the Cardinals or something like that, he would be more successful than he is right now. It's just, man, it's got to be really fucking hard to do that in New York. Like, when you have so much noise around you all the time, and every single one of your moves is just put under a microscope and criticized over and over and over again. But to me, like, he's playing better and better and better, and he's making less mistakes. And so I'm really excited. And like I've talked about it, I think a Zach Wilson boom game is coming. I think it's today because the Broncos suck.
And so, what about the other Wilson? So Garrett Wilson is auto start today, and you just trade for a candidate. What you think Garrett Wilson is going to be great, right?
Who did I trade for Garrett Wilson this week?
That's why I'm setting you up, brother.
The league that I care about the most, our league of record, I traded Jalen Waddle straight up for Garrett Wilson this week, and
Which is a spicy take, man.
I feel like I robbed him because Jalen Waddle, like, you look at what's happening, and Tyreek Hill's the number one. It's not a It's not a 1A 1B situation. Tyreek Hill is the number one, and Waddle's going to get his when it's available. Is what I see, and so
It was Wada busy. You did it too.
yeah. I was waiting for him to say something. No, Waddle's going to have bigger games. Like, his biggest games are going to be bigger than Wilson's biggest games, I think. Like, I made the trade expecting Waddle to have like multiple 40-point games at some point this season. It's just hard to predict. So,
Very.
so if Waddle is like your number one or your number two, it makes it harder to compete. So no, it was a really good trade probably for both of us.
And then your other Jet that we're talking about is Breece Hall today. We talked about it earlier. He's off his snap count. We expect him to have a really good day today. 15 plus touches, probably closer to 20. Start him up. But past that, is there anyone you can really start on the Jets? I think that's about it, right?
So the player that becomes interesting as their offense gets better is the rookie Xavier Gibson. He's the one I'm watching. His snaps are increasing, and he actually caught a few passes against the Chiefs last week. I'll have to double check that and see exactly what he did.
That's right. That's our long, small, fast kid that was the star on, or one of the stars on.
Yeah,
Hard Knocks.
he played 20. Like this was the first time he played meaningful snaps. He played 20% of the snaps on Sunday night. So that he's a player I'm watching.
Yeah, and this is very deep league advice here. This is very deep league or dynasty advice.
Yeah, this is not redraft. I don't think he's going to become anything in redraft this year. But you're definitely watching him because he's somebody he had 2 carries last week. So
they want him because he's so fast and dynamic. They want him involved.
Those are his first 2 carries of his NFL career. So he for the first time in his NFL career, he played snaps last week, and they made sure to get him the ball. They didn't just put him on the field. They said, we're giving you the ball. They want the ball in his hands. He's one of those players. If you remember, he's the guy who won the game on Sunday night, week 1. Or was it Monday night? Monday night, week 1. Sorry.
All right. And then so Denver on the other side. Now this is, people have to have questions all over the place fantasy-wise here. Russell Wilson, he's been a starter this year. I don't know if I'd want to start him this game. Javonte Williams, I think is a big talent, but he's coming back from injury, hasn't put it together yet, and doesn't look like he's
the same announcement
today.
that we got from Breece Hall. The same announcement that we got from Breece Hall this week is what we need for Javonte Williams.
Agreed.
We need Sean Payton to come out and say, hey, we've been trying to get him healthy, and we need to put the ball in his hand. It's him and Jerry Jeudy. And until their offense figures out how to consistently put the ball in the hands of Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims, and Javonte Williams, they're going to struggle.
Well, you're not mentioning Cortland Sutton in there?
Who? You mean Mike Thomas West? He doesn't separate.
So, is there anybody from the Denver team we're looking to play today?
Today?
I guess if you had to, you could play who?
If you're talking about redraft,
yeah.
There's a chance that Russell Wilson is your best option at quarterback. There's a chance.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
There's a chance that you're stuck starting Javonte, and that's okay. And if he plays, it is likely that Cortland Sutton is among your top 3 or 4 receivers. So if you have those pieces, you're probably starting them.
But you're probably actively looking not to start them. But if you had to, you could.
In 1 quarterback leagues, you can get away from Russ.
Yeah.
In 2 quarterback leagues, I don't think you can. I don't see how you could in a super flex or 2 quarterback league.
Okay. Sutton or Dameon Pierce as flex?
Probably Dameon Pierce there.
I expect to win that game. I expect the Broncos to struggle today, offensively. Yeah. I expect them to struggle today.
Yeah, I can see how that's a choice. I think Dameon Pierce has a pretty high floor. He's going to get the ball, chance to fall in the end zone.
He's a running.
I'd stick with the safe one.
The ball 15 times, and that's kind of the mark for us is a running back who's going to touch the ball 15 plus times has to be in a really, really, really terrible situation to not get started over a wide receiver.
Yep, and over a middling wide receiver. Yeah.
Not unless you're talking about a top 15 option at wide receiver. That's how much. Yeah, that's how much more valuable guaranteed touches are in fantasy football.
So I'm taking the Jets.
I'm taking the Jets too.
Wow.
There's no way I'm taking the Broncos. game in a way. And yeah,
So
my boy Zach's gonna have a game today.
I think we can just skip the next game and move on to Packers. No, I'm just kidding. Next up, we have where did they go? I know it's the Dallas Cowboys versus the 49ers, but let me find the money line for you guys. Oh, you know what? I think I just skipped to next week. There it is. Plus 3.5 for the Cowboys. Over unders of 45. Plus 160 for the Cowboys. Minus 192 for the 49ers.
All right, so your Niners are at home and favored by 3.5. That basically tells you that Vegas thinks it's a pick'em game. You know, this is going to be fun. This is like you've got two of the top 2 NFC teams going at it. We've got our boy Ken going to go watch it live. Yeah, like this is going to be fun. But fantasy-wise, just to put a slight damper on it, these are 2 good defenses. So how many fantasy points do we expect to see today? Ken, do you see this going like a big-time shootout, or do you see this more of a defensive struggle?
I think you want to start both kickers in this game.
Okay. Fair.
I think it's going to be that kind of game. I expect the 49ers have not had a whole lot of success stopping CeeDee Lamb. So I don't expect that to start today. They've been very good against the run, though, and so that's if the Cowboys can have some success on the ground, then I think they can score some points. And I don't know. It's just the 49ers offense is so good that I have a hard time believing that the Cowboys are going to be able to hold them under 20 points. I can't see that happening. So, like you're still just going to fire up all your guys. Like, I mean, we're not even going to talk about CMC, but like Ayuk. Like, I think you can fire up Ayuk. I wouldn't want to play George Kittle today. The Cowboys have been really good against tight end. It seems like it was a point of emphasis for them because, like in years past, they've been weak against tight end. It's been one of the places where you can attack them is the middle of the field, and it doesn't appear to be the case this year. They look really good. And then Debo's still hurt, so I wouldn't want to start
playing, but hurt, right?
He's playing through it, but I would I'd be in the 2 quarterback league. I'd be fine starting Brock Purdy today. You know, like until Brock Purdy has a game where he doesn't produce 200 plus yards and 2 touchdowns. You know, you just feel comfortable starting him every week in a 2 quarterback league, and then CMC and Ayuk. And on the other side, we talked about this at the top of the show. I think today is a Brandon Cooks day. The Cowboys went out and specifically got Brandon Cooks for this match.
Okay.
They needed to be able to get deep, and because that was where they were struggling, was being able to just take the top off the defense, and that's why they went and got Cooks.
All right.
So whether he's just being used, like I expect him to run a lot of deep routes today. Whether he gets targeted on a bunch of them or not, I don't know, but I do expect him to take a couple of shots. So I think Brandon Cooks is a really good dart throw if you need one in redraft or and we can't even talk about DFS because it's a night game.
Well, actually, you just talked me into starting a nighttime lineup. I think I'll do a night game lineup just to make sure I put Cooks in there as my captain, just to see if you're right.
I do expect him to get like 6+ targets today.
Yeah, and he's got to be cheap, so that's gonna be hot. Love it. All right, so Ken, who are you picking?
Oh, I'm picking the Cowboys. Yeah, so we got something more important than fantasy football on the line today. I'm about to have my son born, my second son, and our 4th child together, in total, and he will be a fan of whoever wins today.
This determines it. I love it.
Yeah, so Roxanne is all she's talking about. Like, I know that we're gonna just like, whoever loses today is probably still gonna be like pushing their team, here and there or whatever. And I was like, no, I don't have a problem with that. Like, if I lose, I don't want to be a Welsher.
Hey, Ken, just out of curiosity, guys, how'd she like that blanket?
She was really impressed. Like, it's honestly, it's too cool to not like.
Okay.
so what Ray's talking about is his wife knit my soon to be newborn son a Dallas Cowboys like blanket, and it's got really cool like she crocheted that, right?
Yeah.
It's crochet on one side and then Dallas Cowboys pattern blanket on the other side, and it's awesome. It's really 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 cool.
That is awesome.
So back to the game. Ken's going on the Cowboys. What are you leaning, Brian?
Where are you going, Ray?
I'm going Niners, and I'm going to explain it here in a little bit.
And I want to do the same because.
Oh God! Hold on. Are you going to explain it without mentioning Jerry Jones?
No. Yes, I am actually.
I was going to throw Ken a sympathy vote here. Like I was like, yeah, okay,
God,
I'm kind of feeling
Jerry
the Niners.
Jones element.
But you know what? Ken's going to watch the game and everything. But you know what? Every time I pick against the Cowboys win. So you know what? I'm going to do you a favor and go for the Niners.
I was going to say, are you going to screw me? Are you going to take the Cowboys today?
You are welcome.
Thanks, buddy.
No, I don't really have much to say on it other than I think this game for the Cowboys, like I said, with the Rams and Eagles, that's a playoff or bust game. I think for the Cowboys, this is going to be a Super Bowl or bust game. Like if they don't win this game, then I don't care how they do throughout the season. I don't expect them to make it to the Super Bowl.
I agree with you. And the 49ers right now are their boogeyman.
Yep.
And that's the biggest reason I think they're going to win today is because as a lifetime Cowboys fan, this is a different team.
I feel like Dak Prescott just is not going to rise to the occasion. I think he's going to get tormented. I actually think this is going to be a little bit of a blowout.
The Dak hate is crazy to me.
That's my piece on it.
The thing is, like he's another guy that if he was playing in Cleveland, people would be all about him. They'd be in love with him because you don't like his mistakes wouldn't be highlighted.
They're amplified for sure.
Yes, because he's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. It is the most valuable position in sports. So,
all right,
and that's what comes with it. But I think Dak's fine. I think he's playing good football. He's not forcing things this year. There's been every quarterback. I've said this before. Every quarterback, every game makes a couple of throws that they would love to have back.
I just hope it's a great game for you, brother. Enjoy it.
Oh, we're gonna have a good time, regardless.
Absolutely. But I hope it's 39-36 in overtime. Somebody wins. You know what I mean? I hope you guys get to see that game. And I
sat the Cowboys defense just about everywhere that I have them this week, so that'd be fine too.
Yeah, there you go.
Next up, we got the Packers versus the Raiders. +2 for the Packers. Over unders 45.5. Money lines +110. And if you're betting on the Raiders, -130. I just don't see why.
If you're betting on the Raiders, what's wrong with you?
I just don't see that. I don't see it. Okay, go ahead. You guys go for it.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that the Raiders are a slight favorite there. I mean, they are at home. Green Bay has been a little shaky here and there, but it does feel like Green Bay is the better team. It feels like they're coming together, whereas Vegas, it feels like they're falling apart, man. Even though they finally get their running back going a little bit this week, or last week I meant, which they obviously needed, but I don't know, man. The Raiders they've got a bad vibe around them. It's just like I don't know. I'm definitely taking the Packers this week, but fantasy wise, this could be a good game.
Did you see that Raiders Chargers game? Like man,
red zone bits and pieces,
Aiden O'Connell had some NFL films worthy bad plays.
I did see some of those.
He got hit and oh my God, he fumbled again. It was really bad. And then coupled with the fact that he had the porn stash.
Yeah.
He kept going to him on the sidelines. It was so good. I was laughing. But I still agree with what I said last week, and that's that if you watch him just drop back and mechanics wise throw the football and stuff, he looks like a possibly better quarterback down the line than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
so
it's hard to judge him off one game his rookie year.
And I thought he played tough. I thought the Raiders could have lost that game 38-13, and that he played well enough that they didn't.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely cool. And again with the Chargers, the Chargers are dominating these games and still barely getting out with a win. It's crazy. It is crazy.
I know. It's a pattern for them for sure.
So this is a revenge game.
Revenge for who? Who are we talking about? Oh, Devontae. Haha.
Yeah.
Sorry, not something I pay attention to. Yeah, true.
And
So-
and receivers are like, it's interesting. Like the revenge game narratives, like they doesn't necessarily work out all the time, but it seems to work out for receivers. And I think the reason is because like receivers, the biggest thing that determines whether or not they're going to have a good day is whether they get targets. And quarterbacks typically don't like to force targets. But if you've got a little added reason to force a target to somebody, like it really has a dramatic effect on their fantasy output. And I mean, like Devontae Adams needed any help. So I expect him to have a monster game. On the Packers side, if you're watching what's going on with the Packers, Jordan Love he's just killing it in fantasy, but he doesn't look nearly as good like on the football field. It seems like he's getting away with a lot right now, and so I have trouble picking this game. I want to just pick the Packers to win this game, but I don't know if they're going to. I really don't.
Yeah. No, it's a close line for a reason. I just find it hard to get with the Raiders right now. But no, I can't blame you for wanting to take them here because Green Bay hasn't looked fantastic, and you're right. Jordan Love is still getting things together, but I think they got enough to get it done this week.
So next up, are we good?
Ken, which way are you going?
Oh,
He's still thinking.
Packers. I'm sorry. I didn't realize he was leaning.
I
Raiders.
really am. Like, this is a tough game to pick. This is a really tough game to pick. The line's what? Green Bay -1, right?
No, it's
No, Raiders -1.
Raiders.
I think it's flipped. I'm pretty sure Green Bay was.
Oh. What is it?
Raiders
and if-
-2 according to DraftKings.
And I'm gonna pick the Raiders.
Okay.
Because I don't think the Packers are very good,
There you go.
and bad teams lose on the road.
That's fair.
This is the game Ken's gonna give us back. I think maybe. All right. So
You know what's
next,
funny about that is it never goes that way. It's always like the one game that we expect. It's like, oh, that was a good lone wolf. He's definitely going to win that one. Is the one that we lose. And then I can't believe he's picking that team. That's going to be that's an easy win for us. And then it goes the other way. It's
Always.
gosh, you're gonna let us catch up if you're wrong on a lot of these lone wolf picks. So next up, we got Denver Broncos.
You get hopelessly behind.
Yeah, that's gonna. So part of me like is rooting for you to keep winning because I want you to beat all these pros, but at the same time, I don't want you beating us. So
Right?
Well, to be honest with you, like the only I don't feel like I made any like bold picks today. Honestly, this is really just how I feel like these games are going to go. Like maybe the Cowboys, me picking the Cowboys just because I'm a Cowboys fan, like because I could see the 49ers winning that game. But if I was gonna like, I'd go back and look at that Panthers Lions game. Like that was the one that I really wanted to. Like, I really want to pick the Panthers. I can't do it. I just can't.
Yeah.
They haven't shown enough. Like.
And Detroit has shown how tough they are. So
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Detroit has shown us that they are definitely not the same old Lions.
So next up, we got the Denver Broncos. We're hitting our Thursday night game now, but Denver Broncos versus Kansas City Chiefs plus 10.5 for the Broncos. Over under is 51.5, and the money line is plus 425 for the Broncos and minus 575 for the Chiefs.
all right, I'll take the Chiefs and the points, please. Let's move on.
Yep. Yeah, same.
All right, so
Yeah, there's not, and we won't. There's no reason to talk about any of the like matchup
Yeah,
stuff.
that's too future.
okay, and then what we missed last week, which we won't miss this week, which I think
Are they in London or is this a Germany game?
the Baltimore. Well, the next game, the next Sunday game I'm mentioning is going to be in London. Like I won't mention it if it's I
Well,
would wait till the following week.
I was just asking if it's actually in London because I know that there are. I think there's like 5
Oh,
or
like physically.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
might
know.
be in Germany.
Yeah, I
not
think
sure.
there are 5 or 6 international games.
Oh,
and
I should change this then. Is what you're saying to
Or
international?
no, well, yeah. There you go. International would be
There you
more
go.
accurate.
So, yeah, where was I going with this? Hold on. I'll just read the line. If I remember my thought, I'll throw it out there. So, Baltimore Ravens versus the Titans, -4 for the Ravens. Over-under is 45.5 or 40.5. I'm sorry. Money line's -205. And if you're betting on the Titans, +170.
Hate to do it, but I'll take Baltimore there. Actually, you know what? They're going to be beat up after the Steelers.
This is one of this particular game.
I'll take
and
the Ravens.
I really want to see what happens today. Honestly,
Yeah, agreed.
Before I pick this game, because
But you can't.
I know, right? But because I feel like I'm gonna be either right on this game because I was right about the direction these two teams are headed in today, or wrong about this game because I'm wrong about one of the teams. And so I want to pick Tennessee because I want to say that based on what I saw from Tennessee last week, they're a team that can compete. They can. I don't know if they will.
Exactly.
Because that's the thing is their pass defense is so bad that I really want to see what Anthony Richardson does to them today before I'm willing to pick them over the Ravens. So I'll pick the Ravens.
Okay, we're all going right.
All right.
Tennessee's showing life. I guess that's what I was trying to say is that Tennessee showed some life. They looked really, really, really awful 2 weeks ago, and then last week they looked like a playoff team. So it was weird.
All right. So let's get to what's been my favorite part of the show for the last few weeks.
Good
DraftKings, baby.
You know what's amazing to me is is how I can be doing so well in all of my leagues, like redraft and dynasty, and picking the games correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and then have such a poor output on DraftKings. It defies logic to me.
Love it.
I'm okay with not winning every week, but to be one of my lineups put 74 points up last week. How?
Yeah.
I have not had a team score less than 105 points in any of my redraft leagues.
So if we're gonna go back
I have
to,
not had a team score less than 100 points this season.
let me look at something real quick. So if we go back to regular season last year, Ken, you averaged 131 points. Brian, you averaged 132.79, and I averaged 125.84. And then we fast forward to this year's running average. Brian's at 154.05. I'm at 134.33, so I'm almost up 10 points my average. And Ken, you're at 112.
Yeah, see.
So
He's due, folks. He's due.
And that's actually yeah. and that's actually better than I thought it was going to be. Because it's not been good. So I'll lead us off with the obvious worst lineups, and we'll start with cash. And because I'm so desperate to have a good showing, I'm going to start Patrick Mahomes today.
Nice. All right. Definitely was one of my considerations.
At 8,100. So today, I feel like this week, when I was putting lineups together, there were lineups that I could put together and be happy with and still have $15,000 left over.
Wow.
Because there's so many value plays in between the $3,000 and $4,000 range
Right.
this week. It's crazy. I like Rashee Rice at 3,600. I like Nico Collins at 3,500. I like Wan'Dale Robinson at 3,000.
Michael Wilson, 37.
I like less. I like him less. I would definitely take all of those other guys first.
Okay.
So anyway, Mahomes 8,100 at running back, 6,100 for Devon Achane, which is it's too cheap. But he's another one of those players that I think his price is going to continue to swell every week. Bijan at 7,700 is my other running back. At wide receiver, we went super cheap. Zay Flowers against the Steelers at 5,500. Garrett Wilson against the Broncos at 6,000. And Wan'Dale Robinson is my dart throw of the week at 3,000. At tight end, I'm super excited about this. I feel like it's one of the best plays of the weekend is Sam Laporta at 5,000. In my flex, I've got Breece Hall at 5,400. I tried to split Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall up, and I just couldn't do it. I feel like the matchup is too good, and that's why I think the Broncos are going to get blown out today, is because the matchup is so good for those two guys. And then my defense, I've got the Patriots at home at 3,100.
Okay. Ray, you ready, or you want me to go?
Sure, I can go. My cash lineup is Matthew Stafford with all those weapons. I just at 5,600. I just like, yeah, let's do that. Montgomery's been rolling. He's only at 6,600, and so I just was like, let me get some of that. And then Sanders, also my other running back. Flowers, wide receiver. That was kind of a money save. And then for Tyreek Hill, who was at 9,000. And then Nakua, I matched up with Stafford. Just in case Cooper Kupp doesn't come in, he's going to shake off some of that rust. So I went with Nakua. I picked Schultz for my tight end, save a little bit of money. Flex is more. And I picked defense Rams just because I'm hoping they're going to be able to shut down the Eagles a little bit. I'm just hoping they don't go negative, really. And as far as DraftKings points, I'm hoping they don't go negative.
Who's that in the flex?
Schultz.
No, the flex.
Moore.
Which Moore?
Chris Moore?
S. Moore?
Who?
Sky Moore.
Sky.
Hey, instead of Sky Moore, you should look for Chris Moore, Titans receiver.
How much was Chris Moore?
He's probably 3,000.
Let me take a look.
Yeah,
but I think that's going to be
Sky Moore is definitely a big time dart throw.
Big time dart throw. Whereas Chris Moore is going to get targets. He's a veteran receiver who's proven to get targets. And I really think that Colts Titans game is going to be a fantasy bonanza.
Of course, Sky Moore will have 2 touchdowns now, but all right, moving on.
You guys just messed up my normal, theories on all my DraftKings. All right, let's take a look at that.
All right, moving on to mine. We've got. I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson as my quarterback. Just seems like a no-brainer cash play. Still isn't expensive enough at 7,000. Breece Hall is a deal at 5,400, going against the worst defense in the NFL this week. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Bijan Robinson again. I mean, how can you not at 77? Moving on to wide receiver, Hollywood Brown at 5,000, I think is a steal. I hear that that Jefferson kid is pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and get him in the lineup at 9,400. Wan'Dale Robinson is my savings throw, my dart throw for 3,000. Like I say, to me he's guaranteed 9 points. I can't see him getting less than 9, which is going to be satisfactory, and the chance of him getting 12, 15, or 20 is decent. So I love that. Tight end, Detroit has been absolutely horrible against the tight end, and Hayden Hurst has had at least one big game this year, and I think this is going to be his second. So I've got Hayden Hurst in there at 3,100. Montgomery is gonna feast for Detroit, so I'm gonna take Montgomery. I'm really happy with my 3 high production running backs there, and then I've got the Cardinals for a DST.
Jesus Christ.
Just real quick before you snake it back, with that altercation, I now have Chris Moore as my flex and the Lions as my defense.
There you go.
Go ahead. Snake it
Okay. Running it back, we're going to go. This is my tournament lineup. And the tournament lineup, or the game that I really wanted to stack, which I think you might have guessed from going through the games there. I am very excited about the Rams, and I think Matt Stafford is going to have himself a game today. So we are going to super stack Matt Stafford with Puka Nacua and with Tyler Higbee. I think Higbee is going to have a big game going against the Philly defense, which is one of the worst in the league against tight end. And Higbee has been shown that he does get some volume. So I think him and Nacua. Now, I could totally get screwed by Kupp there, but Kupp was expensive, and I expect more of the field to be on Kupp. And this is my tournament lineup. I want to get a little different. especially there since I did not get different with my running backs. Montgomery and Robinson. Those are popular plays, but I think they're popular plays for a reason. They're going to be huge. Coming back on the other side for my stack, Devontae Smith is my third wide receiver. I think he's going to eat today. And like I say, stacking against the Rams, just thinking that's going to be a high-scoring game. Then that's why I've got so many players in it. Wan'Dale Robinson is again my dart throw for 3,000. He's just so cheap. And then I've got Breece Hall again at running back and the Titans DST.
Sweet. What do you got, Ray?
Okay, so I have. Let me see if I'm playing around on this website. All right, I'll go for it. So I have Matthew Stafford for. Let me just. Okay, yeah, that's the right lineup. Matthew Stafford. I'm going Matthew Stafford both, and then Montgomery. I mean, he was just. He's still not getting the respect on DraftKings yet, and then Montgomery on as my running back. DeAndre Swift on the Eagles side. AJ Brown. Puka Nacua, Robert Woods, just because I think I needed to save money there. That's why I picked him. And
he's just a Bobby Trees fan.
And then Higbee, I went Higbee with you, and then I went Pacheco. I seen him get the ball quite a bit and do some things with it, and I think he was kind of, on the low side too as a running back. And then for my defense, I picked Giants.
People are comparing Pacheco to Marshawn Lynch now.
What?
Yeah.
Those are two very different running styles.
No, they're not. That's
really?
why. That's why they're getting the comparison.
They don't look alike. All right.
He doesn't. Well, the game's a little different now, so there's not it's interesting to say because Marshawn Lynch is 35 or something like that.
Right.
But there's not as much contact. I feel like, but between there's not as many running backs trying to run people over, and Pacheco is one of the few running backs in the league right now. When he's got a full head of steam, don't get in his way.
So Pacheco was 5,700 and Woods was 4,000. Those
Pacheco's a good value this week. I like him a lot. All right, so we're all going in on that Rams Eagles game.
Wow, I really thought every time I think I go different, you guys prove me wrong.
We're getting in alignment here, so maybe that's a good thing.
To be honest with you, I have a couple of different tournament lineups. I'm going to play the one that is stacking Eagles and Rams players, but I also have one that I'll read off another one after this because I like it so much because it's a real stars and scrubs. But this one is Jalen Hurts at quarterback for 8,000. I couldn't get away from putting Devon Achane in all of my lineups. I couldn't do it, and also because you want the stack back, it was him and Wan'Dale Robinson. You put those two players together for $9,000, on your DraftKings lineup, and you feel really safe this week. My other running back is DeAndre Swift at 6,000. At receiver, I've got Puka at 7,700, Devontae Smith to stack against him, and then Wan'Dale at 3,000. Sam Laporta, to me, is just the best tight end play that you can make this week with no Gibbs and no Amon St. Brown. I just can't imagine he doesn't get at least 8 targets this week, and he has looked awesome, just awesome. He looks like he's baby Gronk, he looks good in the open field, like a tight end that can break open 45 yards down the field and make an over the shoulder catch. That's rare. That's rare stuff. In my flex, one of my favorite plays this weekend is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine at Indy. Everybody's going to be on DeAndre Hopkins today, but I think that.
How much was he, by the way?
3,500.
Nice.
Yeah, and I expect him to lead the team in targets today, and it wouldn't surprise me if he scored a couple of times. And then I've got the Chiefs defense for 3,300 because the Vikings turn the ball over a lot, and they're going to have to pass the ball today. So I expect the Chiefs to be able to get some sacks.
Makes sense. Who'd you have on the Rams side of that one?
I had Nacua.
Okay. Oh, so we're all on Nacua. Okay.
Yeah. Let me see here. I'm going to read off this other tournament lineup. All right. So this one has Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Again, I have, like I said, I have Achane everywhere. Tajay Spears, $4,800 running back. Wide receiver, this Josh Downs for 3,700. I would play him, definitely him over Michael Wilson also,
Okay.
and for the same price, I would definitely play Josh Downs. Justin Jefferson at 9,400, Westbrook Akine at 3,500, Travis Kelce at 7,600. My flex is Josh Reynolds at 4,200, and then I've got the Dolphins defense playing against the team that gives up the most fantasy points to defenses.
Very stars and scrubs. I like it.
Very stars and scrubs. Yeah, like to be able to get Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce, and Anthony Richardson in the same lineup, where you feel like you're playing players that are going to go off. That's a good feeling.
Yep. All right, people.
Hey, we did
Football
it.
coming up. Gotta love it.
Get your last second changes in there. Hope we helped you.
And we'll see you guys all next week.
Go get him, Ken.
All right, guys.
Later.
See ya.
Crush it.